Hello everyone, Neve here, and we are at the next iteration of my deep dive study into the Ryuu Kado. That is the Dragon God Oracle cards. Today we will be doing cards 12 and 13. Card 12 is Seiru. Let's see if you can see it. Seiru. And that means blue dragon. And we have Koryu for number 13, and that means it's red dragon, but it's more like a deep red, because that's not exactly red. That's not the kanji for red. It's like a deep red, like a crimson red. So it's like crimson dragon and blue dragon. So we'll go with that. All right. So So starting off with Seiru. We have blue dragon here. Here's the page that I've done for it. I will go ahead and put on screen the translation for the information on the card, and also the translation for the message from the Dragon God. And then also the translation for its associations for body, food, item, and place. All right, and then the main message, I have the translation right here because this is the page for the translation. So the main message is Musugu Susumu. Yeah, Musugu Susumu. And that basically means go straight ahead, go straight forward. So yeah, that is the main message for Seiru here. And then we have the associations that I have put for the tarot cards, and I connect this deck to the Mars Power Tarot, and here are the cards. Here they are. Hold on. Okay, I grabbed the ones for the next card. There we go. So we have the Chariot and the Knight of Swords. And the energy that this card, that this blue dragon here made me feel was, with its meaning being go straight forward, go for it. I got a lot of urgency from this card. So it's just like, it's a straight path forward. And that is why the spread that I made for it is a straight path, and it's just a straight path going down here. Start off with the Dragon God. It does not want to focus. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this video, we are actually going to be creating the spreads for it. I did create the actual spread, but I don't have what these cards mean yet. So I'm going to put that here, and we're going to do that during the video. And in the same thing, we're going to do the same thing for the next card as well, because I picked out the spread for it, but I didn't create the prompts. All right, so so the Chariot has that very strong like moving forward sort of energy. There we go. Stay focused. From the Mars Power, the little poem in the book says, "Conquest belongs to the resolute. Victory is won through fierce determination as the ground trembles beneath sheer force of will." And I got something on there. The ground trembles beneath sheer force of will. So there we go. And then for the Knight of Swords, the poem from Mars Power says, "Sharp as the Arctic air, a clever mind pivots upon urgency. Action beckons haste, and the decision shall prevail." All right. And poems are difficult for me for like understanding what they're saying. I've mentioned before that I have a bit of a reading disability, reading comprehension disability. So like I read those words, but they did not register in my head what they meant, and I'll have to sit for a second and have the gears in my head turn. But yeah, basically it's a lot of moving forward energy. There's a sense of urgency, I think, with both of these cards, with the Chariot and the Knight of Swords, but more so with the Knight of Swords. And the that was the feeling that I got from this blue dragon, was this sense of urgency. All right, so let's go ahead then and create a spread for this. So I pulled out my spread crafters, of course, and I actually reordered all the cards again. because I'd been doing a lot of different creating spreads, and I don't want to repeat the same cards for each of the I don't want to repeat the same prompts for each of these cards. So I do often like when I create a spread for one of these cards, I'll keep the prompts that I use to the side, and I won't use them for a few, I won't put them back into the rotation for a few more cards later down, if that makes sense. Yeah, so everything's back in here now, so we might see some repeats. I'm going to go ahead and separate out the piles into their sections. Okay, we got the different categories: Seeker, Success, Light Work, Expansion, Processing, Boundary, and Shadow Work. And then, of course, there's a whole section of just focus areas, but that's not relevant here because these are basically just titles of spreads, potential titles of spreads. So I'm going to leave that to the side. We have a spread that goes from the dragon god that's giving us that boost of energy of moving forward, and we're going straight down that path. So we're going straight down our path. So I feel like for this, there will be roadblocks, so maybe we can check some of the shadow work cards for the first one. I feel like that if we're going to hit a roadblock with this, it's going to be up front because we really want to move past this. Like that's what I feel like this card conveys for me. And I do think the last card should probably be the success one. So I'll bring that to the side. And I do think expansion is a good one. So probably something from here. Processing, boundary. I don't think any of these are working for me here. So not that or this. Seeker. This might be the first one, actually. Maybe we're starting off with the Seeker, then the roadblock, whatever the roadblock is, expansion, and success. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to look through and pick out my favorite cards from these that make the most sense for this spread. Okay, so I've narrowed these down. So for the Seeker category, I narrowed it down to 4. And I have motivation, which I thought was a good one. So what's motivating someone? What is the motivation? You know, intention I felt was pretty similar to that. Motivation, what would be the difference between these? Let's see. Anything that fuels your productivity, your momentum, or your drive, lighting up your inner fire. Or this could be a hidden or unconscious desire that is driving your actions, whereas intention, I feel like might be a little bit, it's similar, like motivation and intention. They are similar. But I feel like intention, so what you aim to achieve, what you seek to manifest in life, and what you commit to carrying out in the future. I don't know. I feel like this one has more of a drive behind it, which I feel like this card has, the Ryuu card. And I'll pull this out to kind of just remind us what we're talking about here. Intention's good, but I think motivation is better. So I've already narrowed that down a little bit more and taken that one out. So then I also have expression, which I felt was a bit more creative. So creative and self-expression. So it's almost like giving an opinion or expressing an idea, expressing, almost like it's expressing an intention for the motivation. You know what I mean? So it's like it goes this, then this. So I think in this instance, I'm still really liking motivation. And then finally, I have Seeker, which is the name of the category itself. But honestly, the Seeker itself was a word that felt right for this too. So use this card to represent you, who you are, what you may be thinking, feeling, and how you are positioned in a situation or relationship right now. And, you know, I know it's a bit more generic than motivation because this does have a sort of fiery energy, but it's not quite fire that I'm talking about here. So I actually think I might use Seeker for this. So it's almost, so this is basically a significator card. So the spread will start off with Seiru at the top, and then a card that represents you, the person the spread is for. So that makes sense to me, and I think we are going to stick with that. So the next category, I narrowed it down to one card, and I'm pretty happy with it. So excuse. So what we're seeking are excuses for not going forward on that. And by the way, I forgot to mention the key word that I have associated with this card, with Seiru, is seeker. I'm sorry, not seeker, forward. I was saying seeker because of that card, but forward is the word. So I normally put that at the title. I named the spread after the keyword for this card. So forward is the keyword for this. So I will put that there. So there we go. Okay, sorry about that. My husband came out and got some coffee, so I paused the video and I went and talked to him. So we're starting off with Seeker as a significator card, as to represent the person the reading is for. And then there's an excuse. What is stopping this Seeker from moving forward? And excuse me. And then this category was expansion. That's right. So I've narrowed it down to 4, and we have purge. So it's kind of purging that excuse. That's a possibility. We have heal that excuse. That could work. I'm not sold on either one of those two, though. Then we have release, which is pretty similar to the purge. And finally, I did transcend. And like, I think purge and heal are not going to be it. And I think it's between release and transcend. Transcend seems very like, I don't know, spiritual for this particular reading. And it depends on what the reading's for, but like, I don't know. I feel like it might be a little too, I don't know, especially since this particular spread goes down. It doesn't go up, it goes down. So if I had done this where it went straight up like that, maybe I would use transcend. But I think release is good. So we're kind of releasing that excuse. So how do we release this? It's kind of where I'm looking at with this. And then finally, the final card is success, and I've narrowed it down to 1 card. So that makes it nice and simple. And it was commit, which is a card that I have used before in previous spreads, but I think it's good. I think that works here. So Seeker, where we're standing at now, like where we're at right now, and what's blocking us from moving forward. What are these excuses we keep coming up with? How to release them, and then how to commit to going forward. So commit to going forward. That's kind of how I'm wording it there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I'll write that later. But we're going to go ahead and do a spread for this. And I'm going to have to stand up here because I've actually been sitting down. Normally I stand up doing these, but I'm just kind of tired. So I just wanted to sit down while I did this. But so seeker, excuse, release, commit. That's going to be how the reading goes, and we're starting off with this. So it's a bit too large of a reading for the camera. Maybe I will just put it this way and we'll pretend it's going down. We'll do that. All right, we'll start here. And I'm going to pull out the Mars Power Tarot and use the remaining cards in here because I've pulled out the cards that I feel like are connecting to the cards that we're doing today. So it's sans 4 cards. And I'm going to sit down for a second to shuffle. And I think I might actually sit down to do the reading. So I don't know if the audio has changed a little bit. Sorry about it, if it has. All right, I'm going to shuffle a few times. All right, so this is going to be just a kind of for the collective sort of thing here, or for whoever this resonates for. If it doesn't resonate for you, then all right, then it was just a fun exercise. And if it does resonate for you, then great. Yeah, all right, so one more shuffle and I'll start pulling some cards. I think this deck shuffles really nicely because it's kind of thinner and very, very bendy. So I actually really like the shuffle of this deck. All right, so Seeker. This is a bit of a significator. I could pull out a significator card to represent the person this reading is for. I could do that. Like, I could specifically pull out a card. But for the purpose of this reading, we will randomly pull a card that sort of represents the Seeker's energy right now, the queerance energy. So I have the Six of Wands. So kind of feeling very victorious, very in charge of things, I think. Very sassy. I mean, look at this, these two women here. Yeah, I like that. All right. So it's feeling very dynamic, I think. So it's coming at this, like, maybe there's a lot of excitement around something. There's a lot of potential behind something, and there's confidence, and I think that's maybe the word I was going for with this. So there's confidence about something, but what's stopping? What are the excuses that we're saying that's stopping us from moving forward? And I say us, but it's really for the querent here. You, or if this resonates for you, or not you, just a random pretend person. All right, what is the excuse? We have the King of Wands. I would actually, my initial thought on this is it's a specific person that's kind of blocking our path, or we're using this person as an excuse for why we're not moving forward. I don't always read the court cards as people, like actual people in our lives, but in this instance, it did draw out to me as a person that we're kind of using as an excuse for not allowing us to move forward on something, and saying, look, this person is what's blocking our path. And of course, this is an excuse. This person might be having some sort of effect on us moving forward on this, but when it comes down to it, this person, we're using this person as an excuse. We can release that. To further go into who this person may be, the King of Wands is someone who is very passionate and kind of forceful. So I would imagine that this would be someone whose energy is so strong. Like, we're coming at this with a lot of confidence, a lot of like, we feel like we've got this. We feel like we're in charge of this, and the King of Wands here is someone who is a bit stifling, and they have an air to them that is maybe sometimes a bit crushing, or a bit bulldozery. That's kind of what. And I'm kind of using some sort of negative terms here for the King of Wands, this person. But again, this person is just an excuse for why we're not moving forward on this. So how do we release that? How do we release that energy? How do we release that excuse? The Queen of Wands. Wow, coming into our own. Like, honestly, this is kind of turning out to be a reading for me, honestly. But yeah, so because Queen of Wands actually is my significator card. So I do sort of see this as coming into our own. We have a lot of strong energy too. Like, yes, this person's energy can be a little overbearing, that maybe it sometimes feels like it's hard to find our voice with this person, but we do have a voice. And like, look how creative this person is, this Queen of Wands here. So creative, so resourceful, and what was that word I was thinking of? Inventory, like very clever and smart, and we've got this, like our energy may not be as forceful as this person's, but we can stand up for ourselves here. We really can. Like, we are our own person here, where and we can be more forceful with this, and with this feeling that we have here, this excitement, this exuberance, this confidence, and we can stand, because this person isn't necessarily someone who's unreasonable. It's just they're very forceful with how they express their reservations on things. So, and because of that, this person may unintentionally be stifling, but we can step up to that. Or this person could be intentionally trying to block your path, but I think what the Queen of Wands as our release energy is saying that, look, we can move, we can stand up for ourselves. So yeah, and then finally commit. And and once we release that excuse, how can we commit to moving forward, committing to moving forward? And we have the Seven of Pentacles. All right, so it's funny because this card is a bit more laid back, or a bit more stepping back. So we have a lot of this strong confidence on whatever this project is, whatever it is that we want to do. There's a lot of confidence and potential behind this. But there's a stifling energy, and it might be a person. There's an energy that we're not moving forward because we feel like there's this roadblock here. There's this person potentially that is maybe this person is coming from a good place and just coming up with reasons for that you need to think of, that why you can't do X, Y, and Z, why you got to do, and sometimes that's really overwhelming, and because of that, there's like this roadblock of like this, just feeling stifled. All this potential and confidence is just being stifled. We can release that by coming into our own energy and realizing that we can step up to this person or this idea, and we can come up with clever solutions on how to resolve this. So that is within us. We just kind of have to tap into it. We got to tap into that Queen of Wands energy. And then finally, to commit, once we've released that, those concerns are still there. They're still valid concerns. And I think the Seven of Pentacles is it's committing to moving forward with this, but not rushing into things. Like, we are moving forward, but it's taking a step back now that we've committed to this. We can now look at the finer details. We can step back and look at those finer details before we really get the ball moving. But in general, this is a moving forward reading. So, all right, so that was the reading for Ryuu. And Ryuu is what's giving the energy to move forward. Ryuu is what's giving us this sort of energy here, and then committing to it here. All right, so the next now that I've done the reading, I'm going to add in here a clip of me reading the message from the Dragon God. I will be reading this part here. Now, every week, or every other week, actually, I'm trying to do reading reels on my Instagram where I'm reading the message from the Dragon God. And as I'm learning Japanese, so it's me reading this passage. I wouldn't be able to read this on my own right now. I would have to look up several of the kanji to remember how it's said. But I mean, I do also have the how it's said over here. So, but yeah, I'm going to add in the clip of me reading the message from the Dragon Gods. Hi everyone, Niamh here. Let's read card number 12, and this is Ryuu. Masugu susumu. Yaruki ga deru koto o shite imasu ka? Moshi yaruki ga wakanai nara, hontou ni yaritai koto o gaman shite inai ka? Jimon shite mimashou. Ima no anata wa gungun susunde ikeru chiki desu kara, yaruki demichi afureru koto o sagashite kudasai. Ima yaritai koto o yatteiru hito wa moto speedu up o susumete oke no sign desu. Okay, next up we have Ryuu, which is dark red or deep red dragon, or crimson dragon. That was kind of what I was using for it. Let's pull out the book here. All right, so here is the page for Ryuu. And I will put up on the screen the translation for the general information about the Dragon God, and then the message from the Dragon God. Now, these messages, when I pick the tarot cards that represent this card, I'm kind of mostly going off of what the short message is, what's actually on the card, because I tend to be the kind of person that sort of sticks to what's on the card instead of really going back to the guidebook a lot. And sometimes I feel like what's on the card kind of goes against what the guidebook said. And I'm not specifically talking about this deck or this card, though I have found that it to be the case for several cards in this deck too. But like I have that issue with the illustrated herbiary, bestiary, crystallary, those ones, where I don't even bother with the book anymore because it just kind of confuses me. I'll see the message that's on the card itself, and to me that should be the message. And once I start reading more about it, it confuses the message for me. And that tends to be the case for these cards too, because there have been a few times that I've picked out tarot cards based on what was on the card itself, and then the information about the dragon god or the message from the dragon god kind of didn't seem very relevant, or went off in a different direction than I was expecting, and that can be a little frustrating for me sometimes. So for me, like I'm reading as I'm doing this deep dive of this deck, I am reading the information and the message, but ultimately I'm choosing my cards based on the short message on the card itself, because that's mostly what I'm going to be associating or looking at when I read with these cards. So anyway, that was my long runabout way of sort of explaining why I'm coming up with the cards for each of these dragon gods. All right, so as you can see, the keyword is steady, and that is because the message down here. Let me check what the kanji chakujitsu. Okay, chakujitsu ni konasu. Chakujitsu ni konasu, and that basically means go forward steadily go forward was the last card, but to do something, do it steadily, go forth steadily. Like the previous card was all about let me grab it. So Seiru was a bit more like passionate, go forward, and like big energy sort of vibe, whereas Koryu here is a bit more it's steady. Both of these are moving forward sort of cards. The keyword for this was forward. This is moving forward. It's just more steady, and because of that, the cards that I chose to represent Koryu, I chose the Knight of Pentacles, which I almost didn't pick for this. I initially had a different card for this one, and I'm going to put this one here in the middle like I was doing before. And the Two of Pentacles. And I chose the Two of Pentacles because when I was initially, before I started doing the deep dives of this deck, when I was initially going through and just reading the message here and trying to decide what that means for in relation to tarot, the initial keyword I had for Koryu was prioritize, and it did make sense, and that's why I chose the Two of Pentacles, which is a card of prioritization for me. I had the Two of Pentacles and Temperance picked out for this card initially. However, I think Temperance makes a bit more sense with the next card, which I'll do in the next video next month. And the steady energy of this dragon god very much was a Knight of Pentacles sort of energy. So Knight of Pentacles to me is a steadily moving forward card. Things are moving forward. It's a knight, but it's different than, say, the Knight of Swords, which again makes sense why I would choose two knights for these two cards. The Knight of Swords is very rushing forward sort of energy. The Knight of Pentacles is moving forward, but it's very steady. It's very methodical. And let me see what the poem for this was, or it's not a poem, but the passage. So the passage says, the meticulous crafters, sparing no step in their method, will say a house made in haste is temporary at best. They know that efficient results come from efficient process. And that I understood. So, and I actually really like it. So I thought this was a very good representation. Now, I still felt that Two of Pentacles fit with this card, because it is sort of like, we are moving forward, but it's a steady process, and there's a lot of things now that we have to prioritize. And to me, the Two of Pentacles was sort of a thinking it through and seeing what all the options are, juggling those, weighing them, which is part of that steadily moving forward. It is getting stuff done. It's doing things, but it's knowing when to drop certain things. You know what I mean? And so the passage for this says, many things reach for attention, but what deserves priority? And see, there's that prioritize. A dance through time is graceful only with balance and adaptability. And adaptability was a good one for this too. So I chose Knight of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. So I'm going to move these to the side, and I'm going to keep this one out here because I'm going to show the spread that I designed for this. I wanted, because this is steadily moving forward, I chose 3 positions, and we're going up like stairs. We're starting with Koryu, and we're stepping up for things. So it is moving forward, but it's very steady. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. So now I've kind of got to come up with what the positions are. So I'm going to pull out my spread crafters and look through them a little bit. Okay, so I have a stack of cards that I'm choosing from for this one. So with the last reading, I kind of separated them out into 4 sections and just picked the best one from those sections. But I had a general idea of the progression of that spread. Whereas this one, there were several cards in here that I thought worked for this reading, because it does seem, this reading feels a bit more positive. Like, it doesn't exactly feel like a reading where there's going to be a lot of conflict. This is a steadily moving forward. So it's a slow moving, and I've got to narrow this down to 3. So I do have some negatives, cards in here, or more challenging, I guess. I have responsibility, confront, yeah, and actually that's all I have for this. And I think responsibility is the one that I'm going to choose for that. So I'm going to set this one to the side. So I do like that one as the one, like, challenge part. The main thing we got to think about. So responsibility in that. I did like balance. I got a bunch, and I have a bunch from the light work section, because I almost thought this was going to be a reading with just all light work cards, which could happen, like, for some things. But I also have intention, which I think I'm going to pull out again. And explore, which I also think is pretty good. So here's this, like, victory, I think we'll take out, because I feel like this spread is a spread that's not, like, this is a steadily moving forward spread. It's not a, here's the end, and here's, here's the goal. It's more of it's a journey, so, and I kind of want to stick to cards that are a bit more with that in mind, and less about a final destination and more about the journey itself, So I think victory, I'm going to take out. Purpose is pretty good. Courage is pretty good. And potential. I also like explore and balance. Because we do have that Two of Pentacles, so balancing some energies here. So it's pretty funny. I pulled out all these cards from the light work deck because I was like, oh man, this is going to be an all light work thing. But I think I kind of just like, I think I like these 3, like that. Yeah, so we're starting off with Koryu down here, and I'm going to put this right here. And we got to take a first step. We got to keep our responsibilities in mind. So this is moving forward and recognizing our responsibilities in this. And then balancing balancing that, prioritizing. So I feel like prioritize is like a secondary word for this. Steady was the key word that I ultimately chose, but prioritize is kind of a secondary term. So I did choose balance because it makes sense, you know, and how to balance that responsibility to move forward. And then I think explore is a good ending card with this because it's really leaving a lot of this open. It's kind of a going forth from here exploration. And I think I like this layout the best. All right, so let's do a reading on this. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. All right, so we've got that stepping forward. All right, I've got the deck of cards here. I'm going to shuffle it. Actually, I'm going to pause it and shuffle it so I don't waste time here. Okay, it's a good thing I paused that because these cards are so dang slippery that one of my shuffles, cards just went everywhere. How embarrassing. But yeah, it's just, this deck is so slippery. So anyway, so we have something we've got to move forward on. We've got to, it could be a positive thing, it could be a negative thing, it could be something. But it's something that we're making progress on. But we start off with responsibilities. What do we need to be responsible for this? 10 of Cups. I think a lot of people are depending on this. Whatever this is, and if this resonates for you, then great. If not, then just, you know, do what I'm doing and see this as just an exercise. So I would say that the 10 of Cups represents like a community. It does for me anyway. Like the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles are similar. They're similar meanings. The 10 of Pentacles is a bit more legacy. It's the card that I sort of call the family tree card. And it's sort of a what we're leaving behind for others. Whereas this, I feel, is a bit more now, and it's a bit more community based. Yeah, and so I feel like there's a lot of cooks in this kitchen, whatever this is. So we've got to kind of think about other people's opinions, think about other people's place in this project, in whatever it is that's going on here. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of minds coming together, a lot of emotions, a lot of potential conflict, you know, things like that. That's kind of what I'm seeing with the 10 of Cups here as keeping in mind. But in general, it's a very positive group. I mean, it's the 10 of Cups that's generally a very positive sort of environment, you know. So the responsibility is there's a lot of people we got to think about here. It's not just yourself in this situation. So how do we balance that? How do we prioritize? That could be another word that I'll put in here. 5 of Pentacles. Okay. So I think this is a little bit of an acceptance thing that some people in this situation will be left out in the cold. You know, some people are not going to have. This is going to be a situation where some people are going to have more and some people are going to have less. And there's not really a lot of skirting around that, but we can balance that by trying to make this as seamless as possible and making sure the people who are experiencing less in this or having a more unfavorable position in this, it's not so unfavorable. Like there's still some there's compromises being made, and when compromise happens, you know, some people lose out a little bit. So like finding that balance is sort of accepting that we're not going to be able to make everyone happy, and I think that's kind of where I was leading with this, is not everyone is going to be happy, but we can still make this as seamless as possible. So now once we do that, we understand that there are a lot of people, a lot of cooks in this kitchen, and not everyone's going to be happy. So that is the balance that we're going to have to strike. Now we can venture forward and explore, and how do we explore and steadily move forward? So the Lovers. All right. I think I think there's some really strong partnerships that can be made from this. Of course, not just loving partnerships, but that could be the case. This is a general reading. But we're, you know, we could also, depending on what this is, like we could have people pair up, you know, that that would be one way I would read that. So moving forward, it's I find this a bit of a solutions sort of card, but it's not the end. It's kind of that beginning of the tale sort of a thing. So we do understand that not everyone's going to get what they want, but if everyone can sort of find something to latch onto, whether it's another person pairing up or something that they can focus on that is going to give them the comfort that they need to move forward, then that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And I also like with these two cards, they're very similar. They like the art. We've got these lines right here, which I to me is connecting these two cards in this reading. But we do have to remember as we steadily move forward that not everyone's going to be happy, and that's just something we got to deal with, and we can explore options for them. We can explore maybe some of the people who are not exactly getting the best deal here. Maybe they can team up somehow. This is. To me, the Lovers is a card about options, so there is a lot of exploration of options. There's a lot of options to uncover here. So anyway, that is the reading for Koryu. This steadily moving forward energy. All right, so at this point, I am going to go ahead and add in the video, the reel of me speaking in Japanese and reading the message from Koryu here. Hi everyone, Niev here, and today we're going to read card number 13, and this is Koryu. Chakujitsu ni konasu. Sotogawa no koto ni toraware sugite imasen ka? Ima, jibun wa dou shitai no ka? Naimen ni me o mukemashou. Jibun no kimochi ni ishiki o mukeru koto de shizen to kotae ga michibiki dasaremasu. Dou you ni mi no kawari o totonoeru koto mo jui yo. Heia no katazuke, kabanya keshou pochi no naka nado. Nakami o totonoeru no ga pointo desu. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.